What is up, YouTube? I am Gout874 here, bringing you our Week 1 battle of the IBA. This week we take on Kohanics, coach of the Reno Raikous. We are both going into this game with a 0-0 record because it's Week 1, obviously. But before I get into this video, I want to mention a few things. First off is that Wi-Fi is different than Showdown, thus this video and all my IBA videos are going to be a little bit longer. The turns go slower and things are a little bit different, so that is why these videos are going to be longer. Next up, it is storming outside right now because, it's storming, so it's going to be pretty loud. Just want to let you guys know that. If you hear anything in the background, that's probably what it is. I am recording this a week later than the battle, so my memory will not be great. And then lastly, make sure to go check out the description with all the awesome coaches in the description below. They are all amazing people. But with all that stuff out of the way, we're going to head into our Week 1 team builder against Kohanics. So the way I built this team was a little more scuffed than I originally had portrayed it in the draft analysis. Basically, each week my win con has to be either Mega Gardevoir or Komodo, and if it's anything else, it's going to be a scuffed battle at best. And of course, my Week 1 opponent here has possibly the best offensive counter to Mega Gardevoir, and that is Mega Scizor. I said in my draft analysis that Scizor and Skarmory were big problems for Gardevoir, and my opponent has a Scizor, so Mega Gardevoir right there is not having the greatest matchup in the world. And I'm just going to over the rest of his team now. His team consists of Mega Scizor, Zygarde of Z-moves, Manaphy of Z-moves, Florges, Salazzle, Chestnut, Uxie, Minior, Braviary, Sableye, and Raikou. That is his team. Overall, Mega Gardevoir doesn't have a terrible matchup, but again, with Scizor flying around, it's not going to have the greatest matchup in the world. And then Komodo also didn't have that great of a matchup either. So this week, actually, believe it or not, our win con is going to be Crobat. I'll dive into that when I get into my team. But looking at his team, again, the Scizor is probably the biggest threat against me. Another big threat on his team is the Minior. And I'm really hoping he doesn't notice that Minior actually kind of slides through my team depending on what set he brings. It's going to be a Shell Smash, obviously, but it depends what 3 coverage moves he brings. But that thing is actually a really high key threat against me. And again, hopefully he doesn't notice because it's more of a lower tier mon. Manaphy is kind of annoying. I can deal with it, but it's pretty annoying to say the least. As well as Sableye. I can deal with Sableye, but that thing is pretty annoying, especially with Prankster. So I gotta be really careful about those 2 mons. And the rest of his team actually wasn't that hard to prep for. Like, Braviary is pretty easy. Zygarde wasn't that hard to deal with because I have Shaman. Florges is really easy to deal with in my team. Same with Chestnut. So overall, his team wasn't that difficult, but the mons that do good against my team are really good against my team. Against, again, Mega Scizor and Minior. But that's his team. The team I am rocking out with this week is Mega Gardevoir, Snorlax, Shaman, Heatran, Gligar, and Crobat. So as I just mentioned, the first mon we are bringing this week is Mega Gardevoir. Mega Gardevoir is rocking with the Synchronize ability, max special attack, 224 speed with a timid nature, and 28 in HP. Moves being Substitute, Hyper Voice, Hidden Power, Fire, and Wish. Even though I just went on a rant about saying that Mega Gardevoir did not have a great matchup considering Mega Scizor is going to come, I still think it does really good work to his mid tiers and his lower tiers, just enough for me to want to bring it. And it also Hyper Voices Zygarde to death unless it's like a Scarf set or it's set up. But again, it's really good. And the thing is I wanted to do was if I can set up a substitute on the Uxie and he switches hard into Scizor, I can HP fire it, and though it won't knock it out, it'll do 80 to 90%. So if it's shipped down just a little bit, that'll be pretty nice for me. So that was kind of the goal I had, was trying to get a substitute up with this Gardevoir and making sure that Scizor doesn't get free switch-ins. And everything else is pretty good. The only other thing I can really switch in well to this is Florges and Salazzle, but he wouldn't really switch in a Salazzle as Gardevoir is a Psychic type. So Florges would be a good switch in, but my team does really, really good against that thing, so I'm not really too worried about it. And to reiterate, the goal is to set up a substitute on Uxie. So that is the Mega Gardevoir. Next up, we have Snorlax. Snorlax is running max HP, split defenses with a Brave Nature, with the Eye Papa Berry, moves being Recycle, Frustration, a Fire Punch, and Wild Charge. I needed this coverage over Curse because setting up Curse would be kind of hard against this team. So I decided just for the 3 coverage moves. This was probably the last mon I threw in the team, to be honest. I needed another switch into Manaphy as Shaman wasn't really doing the job, as I'll explain a little bit later. But this pretty much walls Manaphy unless it's like +3 Z Water, and if that's the case, then Shaman can kind of deal with it. So I have to find out what type of Z move Manaphy is holding before I deal with it accordingly. This also walls, this is my other way to deal with Minior, as prior to this I didn't have a way to deal with Minior, as a +2 Minior shouldn't knock me out, and Wild Charge should just obliterate it. If it's in its shields down form, I mean it's got its shield on still, then it won't be doing too much to me anyway. The only thing that's really scary is when its shield's off, and then I can just do damage to it. There's that, and it also walls the Scizor to an extent. I don't really want to be taking hits from this thing, but I can switch into any move, including like a superpower, and eat my berry and get back up. Then I can outstall him that way. So it gives me at least one free switch in the Scizor. But that is mainly the Snorlax. Again, I needed the coverage because Fire Punch, Return, and Wild Charge, I just needed all that. So there's that. And Recycle gives me some form of reliable recovery unless he knocks me off. So that's Snorlax. Next up, we have Shaman. Shaman is rocking max HP, split defenses with 12 in speed. With the Yachi Berry, it moves being Giga Drain, Hidden Power Ice, Leech Seed, and Synthesis. This is to make sure that Zygarde doesn't get out of hand. This walls Zygarde to death. You can't barely even Toxic me because I can just switch out Natural Cure and come back in because I have a few good switch-ins to it. Hidden Power Ice was for that Zygarde, thus I can deal with it more effectively. And the Yachi Berry is there because it's a multi-purpose mon. It deals with Manaphy. A +3 Ice Beam does not knock out Shaman with the Yachi. I just gotta be careful of ICMZ. And again, back to the thing earlier, if he's ICMZ, then a +3 Surf is barely doing like under half to Snorlax. So that's another way I can deal with it. And then I have Crobat later for that as well. So that's my way of dealing with Manaphy. But it's still a defensive mon overall. I gotta be careful because this thing gets walled by Scizor, and it's a free Scizor switch-in every time. So I have to be really careful about that. And it also gives Salazzle basically a free switch-in. So that is also something I have to keep in note. But that is kind of it for the Shaman. Mainly here for his Zygarde and Manaphy, but more or less the Zygarde. And it also was the Uxie as well. I forgot about that. So that is the Shaman set. Next up, we have Heatran. Heatran is rocking the leftovers with max HP, 156 speed with a Timid Nature, 108 special attack, moves being Stealth Rock, Lava Plume, a Flash Cannon, and Taunt. I didn't know if I wanted to make this offensive or not, so I kind of made it semi-offensive. Rocks are pretty good against this team. Taunt is to prevent something from setting up, and I don't remember what it was exactly. It was Florges. So I don't want like a weird Calm Mind Florges coming, or a nasty plotting Salazzle as well. So there was that. Flash Cannon, Lava Plume, good stab against this team. And the speed was there to outspeed Adamant max speed Scizor, I think it was, so I can at least revenge it. And there's no way he brings like a jolly max speed Scizor. That would be really weird. So that's why I decided to do that. This walls Florges to death, and it walls the Scizor unless it's superpower. And, I mean, if Heatran had reliable recovery, Scizor would be a little bit less of a threat because I could just recover up, but of course Heatran doesn't, so now I gotta be careful with it. He just takes one prediction, but if he doesn't have it, then it walls the Scizor, basically. So that's pretty cool. It does give Manaphy a free switch-in, but if I get Rocks up, then it's not really that big of a deal since Manaphy also doesn't have reliable recovery. So that is the Heatran set. Next up, we have Gligar. Gligar is holding the Eviolite with max HP, 180 speed def, and 84 in defense with Impish Nature. Moves being Earthquake, U-Turn, Toxic, and Roost. Another split defensive mon. I debated on Toxic and like Rock Tomb for the longest time, but I feel like Toxic would be a little more reliable. This is my main way to deal with Minior, as I'm assuming by the time Minior gets up to +2, it's going to be chipped down to the point where it's in its offensive form. So if I can get a Toxic on that and whittle it down, Rock Tomb, it only lowers its speed by 1, and that wouldn't be enough for my fastest mon to outspeed it. So there's that. It also walls the Zygarde and the Scizor, but can't really touch them back, so it's just nice U-turn pivoting, because I am going to take a hit from Zygarde and then U-turn out into like Gardevoir, so that is something I could definitely do. It walls the Braviary as well, it walls the Raichu, it walls the Minior against, well, it doesn't wall a Minior, but it handles it unless it's got Hidden Power Ice, and it does work against the Uxie, though I do have to be careful about getting knocked off by that thing. But that is the Gligar set. And lastly, we have our win con of the week. We have Crobat. Crobat is rocking the Choice Band with max attack, 180 speed with the Jolly Nature, and the rest in like defenses. Moves being Brave Bird, U-Turn, Defog, and Roost. I don't like the fact that this is my win con because Rocks exist, and this is my only Defogger on the team because I couldn't fit it on Gligar. So that's what makes me really skeptical about this thing. But this thing nukes a lot of things on his team. The only thing that can take 2 of these on a clean switch-in is like Mega Scizor, because that's doing 40% if it's a defensive Mega Scizor. But like Zygarde's gonna take half unless it's like max. Manaphy's taking well over half. Florges is taking well over half. Salazzle just dies. Chestnut obviously dies, so Uxie dies. Minior is one thing that can wall this thing. That's why Minior is another reason Minior is a threat. Braviary doesn't want to take it, though if it's Scarf, then I don't really want to stay on it. I don't want to stay on a Sableye because of Prankster, but and then Raichu doesn't really want to. No, Raichu's not coming. But that is why Crobat is our win con. Brave Bird spam is really good against this team. I just gotta be careful of like Scizor and stuff, and again Minior, the 2 biggest threats. But outside of that, Crobat does good, and I can U-turn around if I don't want to just Brave Bird spam yet. So that is that. And that is our team we are rocking with. Not really feeling so confident with this squad, but we're going to try it anyway. We're going to head over to the recording and watch the battle. Okay, we're here in the replay. I would like to thank Zombie for breeding my team. He did a really good job with it. And thank you for Odds for recording this. The quality is absolutely fantastic. But good luck and have fun to Kohonix. He did not bring the Sableye, but he did bring the Minior and the Scizor, which is very unfortunate. I do want to get rocks up right away because they do look pretty good against this team. So I decided to leave Heatran, and he does leave the Zygarde at the worst lead. Well, no, I think Manaphy would have been a little bit worse, but Zygarde's pretty bad because I was originally going to leave the Gardevoir too, but I just strayed away from it for the off chance he led Scizor. But of course he leads Zygarde, and I can't get my rocks up. Even though I do have a free switch into Shaman, that's pretty nice, and I do tank this 1,000 arrows pretty well. It might be like that's not a boosting item, but it is offensive to say the least. But he's gonna switch out Zygarde obviously. He's gonna go into his Uxie here. I decided to go throw off Lead Sheet just to chip down something as Uxie does come in. I thought Scizor would come in there, but it's Uxie, which is fine. I'll get most of that health back from 1,000 arrows as Lead Sheet's going to fire off. Now here, I could go into Gardevoir because Gardevoir easily offensively beats this. But I do know Uxie does like to carry T-Wave sometimes, so I'm going to go into Gligar first and scout for the T-Wave. As you see here, Uxie goes for knockoff. This is that really bad turn for me because I lose the Eviolite and now I can't tank hits as well. Yes, I'm going to get that HP back, but it sucks because now I can't tank hits as well. He did bring the Braviary, so I'm going to have Gligar for that, and I'm going to need it for that. So there's that. He's going to switch out and go into the Minior, and I believe I clicked U-turn here, as his shield's down is going to activate, or deactivate, my bad. As yeah, I do go to U-turn. I make a really, really bad misplay here. U-turn's not going to do much. And I was really sick of playing defensive already in this battle, so I wanted to get some offensive pressure in. So I sent out my Gardevoir here, and thinking, I saw my calc, and I know it for a fact that Hyper Voice is a roll, but a roll in his favor to kill. I mean, roll in his favor to live, and that's if he's got no bulk. And I'm sure Minior is gonna have some bulk because it's draft. So this was a really bad play. I do substitute, knowing he's gonna Shell Smash, hoping he doesn't have the White Herb. But if you're gonna run Shell Smash, why not run White Herb if you can't run the Z move? Like, Minior's not a Z captain, so I should have expected this, as he is going to get it off. And now, as you'll see here, he does have the White Herb. So right now off the bat, we have a +2/+2/+2 Minior in front of me. It is going to be faster than me, even in this form. So he's going to break my sub here, as I am going to fire off a Hyper Voice because I want to get this thing as low as I possibly can. I know I might be screwing myself, but I don't think Wild Charge from Snorlax is going to kill. As you'll see, it's not even close to a knockout, so he's definitely got some bulk in him. But now Minior is looking like a really big threat, and I'm really in a bad position right now. I have to sack off my Gardevoir because I can't switch into anything and take 2 hits. And if I lose Gligar, Braviary becomes a problem, and if I lose Snorlax, then this thing is already a problem. So Gardevoir goes down, and which really sucks, and Snorlax has to come in and take a bunch of damage here, as he is just going to fire for Acrobatics, and it shouldn't kill. As you'll see here, I do barely live on 45. My berry pops, so I'm going to get up to a reasonable amount of health still, and I do click the Wild Charge this turn, and it will knock out the Minior from the range it is at. So Minior is down, but Gardevoir is gone, Snorlax's berry is gone, Gligar's Eviolite's gone. I think I really, really handled that Minior really bad, to be honest, as I should have just went and played state defensive for a bit, as he's going to come out into Braviary now. And at this point in the match, if I had rocks up, it wouldn't really be a terrible position, to be honest. I wouldn't think I'd be in a bad position if I had rocks up, but I don't. He's going to Brave Bird, and the only reason I can live this is if it's not a boosting item, as it is not. That is showing to be Scarf damage. I'm pretty sure the Scarf is going to be a Scarf Braviary. Can't talk. As my berry does pop, and I'm fine with doing this all day because I can just recycle, and he's going to chip himself down with Recoil, but he is smart enough not to keep doing that, as he is going to switch out and go into the Uxie. And at this point, I'm thinking, this Uxie wants to knock off my berry, and thus I can't really stall out things. This Snorlax is actually proving to be really important in this game, as now that Minior is gone, it really walls a lot of things. So I'm going to switch out to prevent the knockoff, as I'm going to go into Gligar, because I'm already knocked off, there's no point, it's not going to do anything. But he does get up the rocks, and now this sucks because I have Toxic on my Gligar, right? And I had that for Minior, but Minior's gone. So I easily could have just brought what's it called? Defog, and these rocks wouldn't really be a problem. This Uxie is going to U-turn, which, sucks. As I believe this turn I Toxic, and he actually goes into the Scizor this time around, which really sucks, because I'm a complete bot clicking Toxic on a Scizor. But hoping I underspeed this thing, because even though Gligar has naturally faster speed, I think Scizor would be invested a bit, and I don't think I put 0 speed into this thing. So I'm really hoping he's got speed, but he actually doesn't have speed. I'm going to U-turn. It's going to do literally nothing. And I was really hoping Scizor would outspeed, because if you wanted to like Swords Dance, I would know. Nothing else on my team would take a hit. I'm really scared that he has superpower, even though I do go into Snorlax. Snorlax can live the superpower after the berry pops, so that's pretty cool. But I didn't want to Heat Ran taking it as my berry pops, and he is just going to fire off a U-turn. So he is pivoting around my team a lot. It's going to do a decent chunk of damage to my Snorlax. This damage shows that this Scizor is pretty offensive, but he does have bulk because he wasn't that fast. So he's probably like max attack, max HP, and maybe like a defensive nature. I'm not sure yet. But I'm going to switch out. I could do the recycle games again, but I decided not to, as I'm going to scout out for the superpower, because he could most likely has it, as he does pop out the superpower. This is good because Gligar can tank these for days, but it's going to force me to click Roost. And eventually here I'm realizing that Manaphy's going to get a free switch in at some point, because I got to click Roost here. As here he switches out, obviously, because he would lose that battle. He goes into Scizor here, and I'm going to get my health back, which is pretty nice. I can still take on that Braviary for a little bit later. And Scizor can't really do too much to my Gligar, seeing that he only clicked U-turn on it. He didn't have Swords Dance. Going into this battle, I didn't think he was going to have Swords Dance. I didn't mention that in the team builder, but I was thinking it was going to be 3 attacks Roost. But here I'm going to get Earthquake damage off, because I know even if I U-turn, he's probably just going to click U-turn, as he does. And as I just mentioned, Manaphy's going to get free switching at some point with Gligar and Heat Ran switching around, or with Heat Ran possibly being a switch into Scizor. As here comes the Manaphy here. I'm thinking this thing is most likely going to be a Z move compared to Zygarde. I am really scared he's going to set up Tail Glow on the switch. And as you see here, luckily he does not click Tail Glow and he just clicks Surf. So, would have preferred it's called, but this is fine too. As I go from 124 down to 66, this is looking really close. I was thinking about switching out into Shaman to scout the Z move, but I didn't, and he is going to pop the Z move. And my Snorlax is going to go down, so a big defensive core this week to my team is going to be gone here, as he's going to fire off the Hydro Vortex, and you're going to see the Waterium Z animation, as this is the one thing about Wi-Fi I like a lot. You get to see the Z move animations, as well as all the animations, but the Z moves particularly are really awesome to watch. They take a while, but, you know, whatever. But Snorlax is going to go down. Luckily, this Manaphy isn't boosted. I wanted to bring Crobat so bad, but Manaphy's at full health, and it lives the Choice Band Brave Bird, so I couldn't do that. As I had to go still play defensively and go into Shaman, as most of this battle I've been playing defensive, as his pivoting has been really, really good. He goes into Uxie here, as I just fire off a Leech Seed, and I'm going to chip down this Uxie a little bit more. This Uxie is not leftover, so I'm assuming it's going to be like a Wiki Berry or one of those like super berries. As I am chipping it down a bit, Uxie is just mainly here to come in and click U-turn. Here what do I do this turn? Oh, I go into Heat Ran because I want to try and get rocks up against this thing, expecting this thing to want to knock off whatever Shaman has. But, you know, my opponent here clicks U-turn, and that really sucks because Manaphy just going to come right back in on the team. Man, I really want Rock. If Rocks were up on his side, I really feel like this battle would go a little bit better in my favor. Not in my favor, but it would be a much more even battle. But here, he just goes into Zygarde. I do have a free switch into Shaman, as I'm going to pop the lefties. He is going to see that I have leftovers on this thing, which is fine. He would have found out eventually. But as I said, Shaman is 100% the switch into Zygarde, as it really doesn't do much to it, as I am a pretty defensive Shaman. As I do take Rocks damage, and he is just going to click 1,000 Arrows. And it's going to do basically nothing. But I am going to be forced to click Synthesis this turn. I could click Leech Seed, but I'm going to go for the Synthesis for the off chance he has like Outrage. And since Gardevoir's gone, he can freely just click that. So if he does go to Braviary, would Raider again. If I had Rocks up, this would be a little bit better. But I'm going to get up to full health. I did read the calc, and if it is a Scarf Braviary, if it's Jolly, it's only got like an 18% chance to knock me out. But that's obviously nothing I want to like risk right now, because Zygarde still exists over there. So I'm just going to go Gligar. Gligar's only here basically for this Braviary. I'm going to take a little bit Rock damage, and he clicks U-turn again. And Konox is doing a really, really good job at pivoting around my team, as U-turn is just owning me right now. And he's going to get that free switch in back into Manaphy. And at this point, I realized I don't have a switch in, because he can just freely click Ice Beam, as I don't really want to switch in Heat Ran on an Ice Beam on a Manaphy, obviously. So I had to sack the Gligar here, which is really unfortunate. And things are starting to fall like pieces. Gligar's down, Snorlax is gone. My offensive Gardevoir is gone. I have to go back on the Shaman here. I can tank any hit, but he can easily just go into Uxie or Braviary. I am going to click Leech Seed, expecting the switch, which he does switch, as he does go into Uxie this turn, as he's been doing the entire game. I fire off a Leech Seed. I do miss, which is kind of unfortunate, but I don't really need much health back. Here I'm just going to go for Giga Drain because this Uxie can't really touch me. He's just using this Uxie to pivot around the Shaman, as I'm fully expecting a U-turn. But of course he clicks Knock Off this turn. The one time I didn't go into Heat Ran to get up rocks, and now he clicks Knock Off. I'm really mad about that. If I click Giga Drain again, luckily he's just above 25%, and I'm still under the assumption that he is one of the super berries, so it's not going to pop, luckily. So that's pretty cool, as he is going to U-turn this time around and probably go into the Braviary, which he goes into Mega Scizor this time around, which I was kind of shocked he didn't go to Mega Scizor earlier on this thing, but there's that. I'm going to switch out because I can't tank hits from this thing, and I'm just going to go into my Crobat. I know Crobat can take a U-turn if he wants to click it. I'm going to take Rock Damage, which really sucks, and this is basically my last offensive mon. He does Hard Switch, and he just goes straight into Uxie, which is, completely fine with me. I debated U-turn for a while, but I just wanted some offense on the field at this point. And at this point, I'm thinking I probably just lost the battle. So I'm just trying to get a differential down, as Uxie is going to go down, and I finally knock out something else besides Minior, which is pretty cool. But now I can send in Zygarde, and since Zygarde's at full health, so is Manaphy. Anything can live a Brave Bird, even if it's Choice Banded from Crobat, because Crobat's attack's only 90. I'm just going to fire off a Brave Bird and see what the Zygarde wants to go for. I could go back in the Shaman, but that would require me to come back in on rocks later, as it's still going to do over half the Zygarde. That is a lot of damage, but he is just going to click Outrage this time around. So that's pretty smart on his part, but this allows me to get my Heat Ran in because he's locked in. And I'm going to go for late game rocks because if Braviary's down, and if Braviary's down and I can keep Heat Ran a little bit healthier, I could possibly win, but I mean, it's very slim to none at this point. As I gotta hope Outrage doesn't do much. I say Outrage does a lot of damage, believe it or not. As I'm just gonna get up rocks, late game rocks at this point. Basically, I would have to hope Zygarde hits itself in confusion a few times, so my Heatran can beat the Scizor. And this is only if Scizor doesn't have superpower. And I don't even know what I'm gonna do against the Manaphy yet, to be honest. I'm in such a bad spot right now, as he's going to not hit himself in confusion and continue to go for Outrage. I'm not sure if this is also Scarf, considering he's keep going for Outrage. But, you know, it's whatever. I go for Flash Cannon, hopefully being able to knock out this thing. And the Zygarde lives on, like, 5%. So that really sucks. And I'm really hoping the Zygarde hits itself in confusion so I can keep this Heat Run around for the Scizor, as he is going to get confused, and he gets past confusion again. So that really sucks. I know confusion was nerfed in Gen 7, and it is going to knock out my Heat Ran. The Zygarde is actually kind of strong, believe it or not. And all I have left is Shaman. At this point, I lost the battle because I can't touch Mega Scizor to save my life. And I'm just going to go for differential. Hopefully, I can knock out this thing. Zygarde is going to be faster and snap out confusion and hit Outrage again. So this is going to do a load of damage to my Shaman. I do live on 4 HP. As I believe this turn I go for Synthesis. Yeah, I'm spamming Synthesis, hoping it will hit itself in confusion at some point, so I can get the knockout on that and lower my differential a bit. So right now I'm at -4 if Shaman goes down here. Zygarde is going to be confused, and finally Zygarde hits itself, and we're going to pull it to a -3 differential. And at this point, Mega Scizor can just come in, as I do click Synthesis, hoping on that again. So I'm at full health. I can live a U-turn, but you can't just go into, like, Braviary or whatever. My thought process here was, but he goes in Braviary, right? And I'm thinking, I have an 18% chance to knock me out, and I'm just going to click HP Ice to get this nice differential down. As he is going to click Brave Bird, and hopefully I can connect my HP Ice, as I haven't revealed it the entire game. But he does get the 18% roll and knock me out, so that really sucks, and that is going to be the game. GG to Kohonix. Braviary barely lives the recoil after that. But we are going to lose this game by 3. I definitely don't think I played fantastic, but I think it really came down to Kohonix playing really well and prepping really well. The Minior did really, really good work against my team, and he knew it, and he prepped with it, and it did work against my team. And he played around with Manaphy a lot better than I was expecting in prep, and the U-turn pivoting was a lot more of a threat than I thought it was going to be, and I had to play defensive. My lead matchup was pretty bad, but that's on me for leading Heat Ran, and that is basically it. Make sure to go check out Kohonix and the rest of the awesome coaches in the description below. You won't regret it. Kohonix is a great content creator. Again, thank you for Odds for recording this. This quality is absolutely amazing. And thank you to Zombie for breeding my team. Next week we take on Pesky, coach of the Ottawa Garchomps. He won his week 1 game, spoiler alert, with a +5 differential. He is actually, by differential, the best team in the league. So this really sucks. But hopefully we can beat his team. He's got more of an offensive team, but we'll get into that next week. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you like Pokemon Draft League content, consider subscribing to the channel. That's all I got for you guys. I'm head out of here. Have a fantastic day, YouTube.